Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Young Israel Valley. It's my pleasure to welcome you. I'm the Rabbi of the Young Israel, and we're very happy to have you with us on this very special evening where we're going to be hearing from a very special guest. Before our special guest, I do want to, on behalf of our community, first of all, thank Dagmy. Jonathan Dagmy is our partner in making this happen. He's really the force behind it happen at shul.com. Jonathan brings wonderful speakers into town. He brings wonderful Torah content, brings and wherever he goes, and it's really a pleasure to have him as a partner. Our featured speaker, the executive director of an organization called Assaraf. He's going to tell you a little bit more about that. They help a lot of struggling women throughout Israel be able to retain their pregnancies and carry it full term and give birth to live babies and babies that they help support. So he's going to speak a little bit about his institution, but I think more directly about what he's been witnessing, experiencing over the last 3 months in Israel, and he has a very inspiring story to share with us as well. So without further ado, we're going to ask Nir Salman, please, to come on up.
Toda Rabba to the Rabbi and to Rabbi Dagmy. It's a real honor to be here, especially before the featured speaker, which is going to share with us, I'm sure, an incredible story. For all of us, October 7th was today. It's still an incredible story, B'ithavut. And I want to share with you one thought which I think is important for all of us to hear. So while I run an organization that helps pregnant women in distress, which unfortunately we thought nobody's going to have to face the question of termination of pregnancy during a war where we're defending our lives on the battlefront. My son is in the Golani Brigade. We know exactly what that's like. I live in a yeshuv which is under threat constantly. I can't even explain. I'm on the emergency response team in our yeshuv, a yeshuv by the name of Neriya. I walk around on Shabbat with a phone. Anytime I'm away from my home, I need to report to the staff. It's a volunteer corps that I am away. It's quite a stressful time. However, I want to share with you one thought. I hear somebody heard me over Shabbat share this, but I think it's very important to hear, and I hope you'll appreciate it. In this week's parasha, we learn about Moshe Rabbeinu, who decided to bring down the Luchot from Sinai. What does that mean, decided to bring down the Luchot? Hashem gave Moshe Rabbeinu the Luchot. However, the Sforno writes that in fact Moshe brought down the Luchot from Shamayim with the explicit intention to break them. Not to reveal what it says inside of them, but to break them. Why is that significant? So one of the things that is being done in Israel, which I'm sure you must know about, is going around the country to give CHIZUK to Chayalim. My wife is very, very involved in it, and she finds all army bases and army units that nobody visits so that we can go visit them. Why do nobody visit them? Sometimes they're small army units, or sometimes they're in very, very dangerous areas where people who are coming from Chutz La'aretz to volunteer don't really want to go. These are areas where there are no alarms because the bombs are falling there, the missiles are being shot from there, or other unique areas which we can discuss at a different time. At the end of the day, we show up at a barbecue and my wife says to me, listen, this group really needs CHIZUK. I ask her why. She says, because this is the group which you all know. About 2.5 weeks ago, lost 21 soldiers. So we're visiting with this group, we're doing a barbecue, we daven with some of them are religious, we daven mincha, we daven darvit. We didn't really open up this subject. I brought a good friend of mine who's a big Talmid Chacham to share some words of Torah. But we didn't know that the commander of this unit didn't show up. Towards the end, the commander shows up. He says, you know, Ani ha-mempei shel ha-pluga. I am the commander of this unit. And he sits at the head of the table, and all of the soldiers come around him because he reported to them the visit he just had with one of their soldiers that is still alive but was wounded. He was patsua anush. Anush means he's in between life and death. And Baruch Hashem now, he's patsua kashe aval yatziv. Now he's severely wounded, but he's stable. The soldiers around him were just not happy. I can't even describe it. I can share with you, I was at a different base. All the soldiers looked very happy. There was one soldier that we looked at from the side, and he was just down. So his commander or somebody, we don't know who it is, came over to him, and I saw this whole interaction. He says to him, "Ata yoda, lo dibarnu harbe zman. Ma kore itcha? We haven't spoken for a while. What's going on?" He said, "No, ani beseder. Azov, leave it alone. I'm okay." He said, "No, we need to talk." He says, "No, ani akol tov, akol beseder. Azov." He says, "No, but you need to start telling me what's going on." And he looks to him and he says to him, "Ma ata rotze mimeni? Chetzi me'achaverim sheli kvar ibadati. What do you want from me? Half of my friends are already dead. Just leave me alone." So sometimes you see these stories and they're very, very difficult. So as the commander was telling them that story, I thought to myself, I just can't believe it. And I asked him, "Can I address you?" And I told him the following story. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and brings the Luchot HaBrit down to this world, to us, not to give it to Am Yisrael, but to break it. Why? So if we look at the end, I won't lift, there's too many microphones on me, so I won't lift the Torah right now, but trust me, the last pasuk in the Torah is the last few psukim are describing the great things that Moshe Rabbeinu did. The amazing things that Moshe Rabbeinu did. What amazing things did he do? A bunch. He parted the sea, he brought Aseret HaMakot, he brought us to Matan Torah, etc. Pretty much he did a lot of amazing things. And what is the last amazing thing described? It's not really explicit. It says, "V'lechol hayad hachazaka u'lechol hamora hagadol asher asa le'enei kol Yisrael." This great vision, this great moment, this great unbelievable thing that he did so that all Am Yisrael could see. What did he do? What great thing did he do that all Am Yisrael could see? Again, a lot of things. Matan Torah, Makot Mitzrayim, a lot of things he did. What does Rashi say? What did he do? The fact that Moshe Rabbeinu decided to break the Luchot. That's the great thing that Moshe Rabbeinu did. And Hashem, it was Moshe Rabbeinu's decision, not Hashem's. It was Moshe Rabbeinu's idea, not Hashem's. And Rashi says, and Hashem agreed with Moshe Rabbeinu's idea. And Rashi chooses to end the entire commentary on the Torah, Yishar kochecha sheshibarta. Kol hakavod, you broke the Luchot, what a great thing. The greatest thing you've ever done. That's the greatest thing Moshe Rabbeinu ever did? So my Rebbe Rav Meir Goldvicht explains the following. If I took this microphone and these beautiful phones and cameras and I just smashed it right in front of all of you and nobody would say anything, what does that mean in terms of ownership? That means I own the phone. He's a crazy man breaking his own equipment. Crazy man, but it's his own equipment. He owns these phones, he owns the microphone, v'chule. Moshe Rabbeinu realized that Am Yisrael is not ready to receive the Luchot. But he needs to make a maaseh kinyan. He needs to make sure that the Torah, the Luchot HaBrit, are ours forever. So that he can go back to Shamayim, in a similar vein like we do when we order from Amazon and then we want to return. There's a question, it says, do you want a refund or do you want a return item? Moshe Rabbeinu goes back to Shamayim and says, I want seconds. Can you please give me seconds? And Hashem says, yeah, I can give you seconds. But what's the amazing thing? That luchot that were broken, when Am Yisrael goes out of the Machaneh and goes with the Aron Kodesh, what is inside of the Aron Kodesh? Not only the luchot hashniim, but also the shivrei luchot. Those broken luchot that were the kinyan, that forever these luchot are ours. So I turned to the soldiers and I told them, what do you think? You're going into the battlefield alone? You are the Aron Kodesh Shenoset Luchot Abrit alone? No. You have nothing to worry about. Your brothers who have sacrificed their lives just over a week ago are the Shivrei Luchot in your Aron Kodesh. The Kinyan Haaretz Nikna Bedamam. That Kinyan of the land of Israel was acquired by their ultimate sacrifice, and they walk side by side with you. How do we know? Because there's a halakha in Shulchan Aruch that none of us follow, but it's still on the law books. It wasn't canceled. What halakha is that? We are told as holy Jews, every single one of us in this room is such a holy Jew. So we walk around with angels. So Shulchan Aruch says, okay, so we have a problem. If we're walking around with angels, how do you bring the angels into the bathroom? It's not respectful. So when you walk into the bathroom, you're supposed to greet the angels and say, Hitkabdu mechubadim, please wait here for a moment while we go in to do our bodily needs, and we'll come back, and please don't leave us. Malachim walk with us. You, the Malachim, these Chayalim that are there, Tzva Hashem Mamash, you're walking along with your Malachim, your friends. So as we, all of us, try to show the support to all those that are standing on the battlefront, if we really do everything that we can, we in fact walk side by side with them. Those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, and those of us who really give of ourselves. So we don't have time to talk about Efrat, but the Efrat organization stands to make sure that there shouldn't be, during this war and never, a woman who walks by herself and doesn't feel the support of the community that will say, we will be there by your side so that you can have another child and another neshama can come into this world. You can read about us. We have brochures outside about our new project called A Soldier Fallen, A Baby Born, creating miracles out of the memories of these brave soldiers who have sacrificed their lives. We need to continue creating miracles. So I bless you that none of you should be Shivrei Luchot. You should be together with Be'ezrat Hashem, the Geula Shlema, that we should be able to see B'mehera b'yameinu. Amen. Thank you all for joining. Just before we begin really quickly, I want to thank Rabbi Moskovitz and the board of Young Israel. I also want to call out our dear president, Israel Kopel, who has allowed us to partner up here. We've done many events. I think this is maybe our 10th event in the last year. And B'ezrat Hashem, many more. Gentlemen, Roy Assaraf is here. He's about to share a story. Everyone get up. He's about to come on.
טוב, ערב טוב לכולם, חודש טוב, ראש חודש אדר, מי שמרבים לשמחה. אני אספר קצת על עצמי, אני רועי אסרף, אני נולדתי ועדיין בירושלים. התחתנתי לפני 4 שנים עם אשתי יונה, וככה לפני 4 שנים התחילה הקורונה בארץ, וברוך השם יש לנו 2 ילדות מקסימות, מיאל ומיה, ואשתי הייתה אחרי 2 לידות, אז היא לא יכלה לצאת, היא הייתה במנוחה בבית. אני מעצב שיער, 15 שנה, גם נשים, גם גברים. ואז הגיע 7 באוקטובר, הנובה, פסטיבל נובה שהיה ברעים.
So Roy Assaraf was born in Jerusalem. 4 years ago he got married. and Baruch Hashem, he has 2 children. He previously, before October 7th, he had a hair salon which catered to males and females. And on October 7th, he decided to go out to this party in Nova. It was on Simchat Torah, while his wife stayed home with his 2 daughters.
ובנובה, הנובה הייתה מחולקת לשתי מסיבות. היה את ההפקה של הנובה ועוד הפקה שקראו לה משרום. המשרום זה הפקה של חברים שלי טובים, מיכאל ואושר וקנין, זיכרונם לברכה, אלקנה בוחבוט שהוא חטוף בעזה, ואליה כהן שהוא חטוף גם בעזה. הם המייסדים של ההפקה של המשרום.
So this party was divided in 2. They had part of the party was like an EDM type of party, while the other one was, I guess, mushrooms and psychedelics that they did. Yeah.
ואלקנה בוחבוט הזמין אותי ואת אשתי באופן פרטי, שנבוא למסיבה. שאלתי את אשתי אם היא רוצה שנלך. היא אמרה לי שכן, לכמה שעות, נלך נתאוורר קצת. דיברתי עם אשר ונתנאל, חברים שלי. שאלתי אותם אם הם רוצים לבוא. אמרו לי שכן. שמנו שעון מעורר לשעה 2 בלילה, והשעון לא צלצל, והגענו למסיבה בשעה 6 בבוקר ביום שבת.
So he had a couple of friends that he planned on going to this event with, and they planned to go at 2 o'clock in the morning. He put his alarm clock up. They ended up getting there about 6. They woke up late. They got there around 6 a.m. And they're at this party. It's Saturday morning, October 7th on Simchat Torah.
כשהגענו לשם, המסיבה התחילה ביום שישי, ואנחנו הגענו ביום שבת בבוקר, ככה שהמאבטח ניגש אליי ואמר לי, רועי, כאילו תיכנס עד סוף החנייה, בגלל ש2,000 רכבים שחנו, אני הייתי צריך להחנות את האוטו ממש בסוף, וכשנכנסתי להחנות את האוטו, חניתי בין 2 מכוניות, ונתנאל, חבר שלי, שהוא פתח את הדלת, מתחת לרגליים שלו היה קרטון של חלב.
Okay, so they get to this party. He meets his friend up, and there isn't a lot of space. There's almost 2,000 cars. So he ends up having to figure out how he's going to get his car in there. And he puts it in between 2 vehicles, and when opening the door, there's a milk carton, של חלב, on the floor.
מאיפה הגיע הקרטון חלב?
He doesn't know where this came from.
אין לנו מושג.
He has no clue where this came from.
הוא לקח את הקרטון חלב, הוא אמר לי, רועי, אני שם את הקרטון חלב על האנטנה של האוטו, שנצא מהמסיבה, נזהה את האוטו.
So he had a good idea. He says, look, listen, it's impossible to find your car. It's like, imagine being stuck like in one of these parking lots with thousands of cars. So he's like, look, we'll take this milk carton, put it on top of the antenna, and we'll know. We'll be able to see from like a few hundred feet away. We'll be able to pick up that that's our car. We'll see why this is important.
צחקנו על זה, כי זה משהו שבדרך כלל לא קורה, אבל התקדמנו לכיוון המסיבה, ועידן, אח שלי, הוא היה שם יום שישי. שלחתי לו הודעה, עידן, הגענו, תבוא לבר, ניפגש בבר, נעשה כוס, ונתחיל את המסיבה.
So the party started on Friday, and his brother Idan was there, and so he finally gets there, it's around 6 a.m., and he says, all right, let's meet up, we'll go out to the bar, we'll kind of catch up, you know. The party started on Friday, he came on Saturday, it was like, I guess, a 24-hour party.
עמדנו ככה 4 ליד הבר, אשתי, אני, עידן והבת זוג שלו. אשתי החליטה שהיא רוצה לשים את הג'קט שלה במקום של עידן. אמרתי לה, אין בעיה, לכי שימי את הג'קט, אני מתקדם לרחבה של המשרום, של החברים שלי, ותבואי לשם, אחרי שתשימי את הג'קט.
Okay, so he's there with his wife and his brother Idan and the girlfriend,
yeah.
Idan, and while they're at the party, his wife says, listen, I want to put my coat down. He's like, okay, he's like, where do you want to put it? He said, by Idan. So I was like, okay, go put it. And he went to the mushroom area where they do that.
אני תמיד, כשאני הולך למסיבות, תמיד אני אוהב לעמוד אחרי כל האנשים, ואני תמיד אוהב לצלם ולתעד את הכל. אז בשעה 6:28 בדיוק הוצאתי את הטלפון, צילמתי את המסיבה, ובאיזשהו שלב, כשאני מוזיז את המצלמה לכיוון שמאלה, ראיתי בשמיים שתי עננים שחורים, וכשעשיתי זום עם הטלפון, ראינו שטילים מתקרבים לעברנו, והמוזיקה עדיין המשיכה לעבוד, לא היה עדיין אזעקה.
Okay, so he's at this party, and he likes to go at the back of the party. I guess he's a photographer. He's at the back of the party, and he likes to sit there to kind of get the whole view of everybody in front of him. So he's at this party. It's 6:28 a.m., and he notices while he's taking a video that in the left-hand side, he starts to notice, you know, little dark clouds, but it's not a cloudy day. It's not supposed to be that way. And he notices that they could be terrorists or could be missiles. It wasn't clear, but it was clear something is coming towards them.
לאחר 40-50 שניות אחד המאבטחים שהיה במסיבה עלה לבמה והכריז ברמקול שיש צבע אדום. כולם חייבים להתפנות כי אין מרחב מוגן, זה שטח פתוח. ומי שלא מתפנה, שישכב על הרצפה עם ידיים על הראש.
Okay, so suddenly the party planners start to notice that something's wrong. They realize that it wasn't just, like a mistake. And so right away, he says it's a red alarm. I guess that's a sign in Israel. That means that, like, I guess that they have to get cover. And he tells everyone, if you can't run out of the place, take cover, duck, get lower, because we're shutting the party down right now. There's terrorists coming in. And at this point, they're already communicating back to the IDF to send backups. Go.
וכשאני ראיתי את זה, אני בדרך כלל לא ממהר אף פעם ללכת, אני תמיד נשאר, זה חברים שלי, משהו פה קרה, היה לי שתי פלאשים בעיניים, ראיתי את שתי הילדות שלי ממש מול העיניים, ופשוט אמרתי לאשתי, תהי איתי בקשר עין, ואנחנו רצים מפה עד לאוטו, אנחנו לא נשארים פה.
Right away, in front of his eyes, his two daughters come up. You know, he realizes life is flashing in front of him. He realizes he's in a terrorist situation, it's dangerous, and he tells his wife, we gotta get out of here quickly, and they start to run out as quickly as possible. His custom is when he goes to these parties is he likes to stay. He likes to have a good time. He's the last guy to leave so quickly, but he realized when your life is flashing in front of your eyes that you gotta make a quick decision, and he does.
וכשהתחלנו לרוץ לכיוון החנייה של האוטו, הגענו לקראת היציאה, ואשתי נזכרה שהיא שכחה את הג'קט במקום של עידן.
Oh my God. So right away they're getting out, they're already out of the place, getting to their car, and suddenly his wife tells him, oh, by the way, I forgot my jacket. And he realizes he's either going to go back to that terrorist situation or forget the jacket. And
כן, הג'קט הזה זה בעצם משהו נורא חשוב בנס הזה.
Must be an important jacket to his wife.
והתעקשתי איתה, אמרתי לה, לא צריך, תעזבי את הג'קט, טילי מעל הראש, פיצוצים. לא, אני רוצה את הג'קט.
All right, there's missiles coming, there's M16 ammo coming towards him, and his wife says, I want my jacket.
אז חזרנו להביא את הג'קט, וברגע שהיא שמה את הג'קט עליה, באותו שנייה פשוט פתחו את היציאת חירום מהמסיבה, ובמקום שאנחנו נעשה ריצה מהמסיבה לחנייה, אז היציאת חירום הייתה נורא קרובה לאוטו שלנו, אז אנחנו בעצם הראשונים שיצאנו לחניון.
So like they say, Philo, first in, last out. So he was parked at the end, and when they realized the party that they finally got their jacket, his wife was happy, they get the jacket from Idan, and they open up the back exit. So like, when you park last, you're the last one out, but with this back out exit, he was able to actually be the first one to get out of the park.
יצאנו לחנייה, ושוב פעם הוצאתי את הטלפון, צילמתי אותי ואת אשתי בסלפי, ואמרתי לה, אולי זה הרגעים האחרונים שלנו, אולי זה הסרטון האחרון שלנו. באותו שנייה היא אמרה לי, אל תדבר שטויות, הקדוש ברוך הוא איתנו, הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, כי שיש מלא טילים מעל הראש, חשבתי לרגע שאם ייפול טיל, אז שישאר איזה זיכרון לילדות.
Wow. So he realizes that he might not make it out alive. So he tells his wife, look, let's take a selfie together. Let's take a couple of videos and photos. We have two daughters back in Jerusalem. if we don't make it back, at least they'll have a last memory of what happened here. And he continues to take a lot of videos and photos, and they're about to leave.
וכשאני רצתי בין שתי מכוניות, והיא רצה בין שתי מכוניות, באיזשהו שלב ראיתי בחור שאני לא מכיר, שישן באוטו, ממש מקובץ, ולרגע עצרתי, ופשוט חזרתי להעיר אותו. וכשפתחתי את הדלת והערתי אותו, תפסתי אותו מהחולצה, אמרתי לו, צדיק תקום, צדיק תתעורר, סגרו את המסיבה, יש טילים מעל הראש, לקח כמה שניות עד שהוא התעורר, אשתי ראתה את זה, היא גם חזרה אליי, וברגע שאשתי דיברה איתו, הוא פקח את העיניים.
Okay, so he's running out of the place, and while he's running, he notices that there's someone sleeping in a car. You know, as an American born here, we don't understand what this is of like, you know, missiles and bombs. Baruch Hashem, we don't have it. And here, he notices, he sees a friend. He sees someone stuck in the car. So he runs in there, he tells the guy, wake up. They shut down the party, there's missiles coming. The guy doesn't wake up. So his wife goes back, and his wife starts to push him a little bit. The guy wakes up, his eyes open up.
ואנחנו הגענו לאוטו. בזמן שהגענו לאוטו אמרתי לה, תתקשרי לנתנאל ואשר שבאו איתי, ותגידי להם שיבואו לכיוון של היציאה של הכביש ולא לחנייה.
Okay, so right away, they get to the car, he tells his wife, I want you to call the two friends that we came in with to the party and let them know that where we are, we got to get out of here and we got to jolt, so let's get him quickly and let's get him our location.
נעמדתי על האוטו, המון אנשים רצו, היה הרבה בלגן, ראיתי את נתנאל ואת אשר, צעקתי להם מהר בואו לאוטו, ולבינתיים נהיה פקק של 5 מכוניות לקראת הכביש. Okay,
right away, he got on top of his car, he realizes, he sees his two friends, he signals them, they come to him to the car, and at that point that they come to the car, he notices 5 pickup trucks pull up around them.
והשוטר שניגש אליי, יונה אשתי שמה בווייז, כיוון ירושלים, אנחנו צריכים לקחת שמאלה, והשוטר אמר לי שאי אפשר, בגלל ששם נופלים טילים, סגרו את הכביש, רק ימינה.
Okay, so they want to get out, they want to take a left, and they notice that the road is closed and shut down because of this terrorist activity. I guess they wanted to control the traffic, and instead of going left, which is his way out of the place, he had to make this right.
מיד יונה, יש לי תמיד באוטו בתא כפפות תפילת הדרך, היא התחילה לקרוא את תפילת הדרך.
Right away his wife starts to read תפילת הדרך.
וברגע שהיא סיימה לקרוא את תפילת הדרך, כל 5 מכוניות שהיו מלפניי פשוט עשו פרסה חזרה למסיבה, אחד אחרי השני. זה היה כמו משחק מחשב לרגע, לא הבנתי מה קורה. אמרתי לה מה קורה, הסתכלתי עליה. ובאותו רגע שמעתי קולות במוח, בראש, שאומרים לי פשוט רואי, תמשיך פשוט ישר ואל תעצור ואל תתפרסס, פשוט תמשיך בנסיעה.
Okay, right away he notices while he's getting out of the park that the 5 vehicles in front of him are starting to make U-turns. And his wife is saying Tefillat HaDerech, and in his mind he sees everyone turning the opposite direction. He feels and he hears some voice telling him, I got to go this way. I'm not turning back. I'm just going to go and follow my intuition. I'm going to continue going straight. I feel like I just got to get out of here.
כשהם התפרססו, נשארנו אני לבד על הכביש. זה היה בכביש 232, היום זה נקרא כביש הדמים. לאחר 500-600 מטר של נסיעה, היא מסתכלת מהחלון מצד ימין, והיא רואה פשוט 2 ג'יפים, זה היה ג'יפ השחור והג'יפ הלבן, והיא אומרת לי, הנה חיילים.
So right away they're gunning out there and they keep driving straight and they notice there's two vehicles. They look kind of like military vehicles, one black and one white. So his wife's like, oh, the IDF, they finally came, they're going to come.
ואני מסתכל עליהם.
And he looks straight at them.
פשוט אני רואה סרטים ירוקים שקשורים להם על הראש.
He sees the green band,
20 מחבלים בערך.
20 terrorists.
ונתנאל מאחור, החבר שלי צועק לי, רואי, מחבלים, סע מהר. ברגע שהוא צעק לי את זה.
So right away he notices that you know they're wearing this green item around their forehead. That's Hamas, that's Hezbollah, and he notices right away this is a problem. His friend realizes they have weapons. He says, they're terrorists. We got to get out of here quick.
אני רואה אותם פשוט מכוונים לעברנו את הנשקים.
They're pointing the guns at him and start shooting.
תפסתי לאשתי את הצוואר.
She takes his neck button.
הורדתי אותו מתחת לתא כפפות.
He takes his wife's neck and ducks it down in the car.
הורדתי לעצמי את הראש, לא ראיתי לאן אני נוסע.
He ducks while he's driving.
ופשוט זעקתי. זעקה כל כך חזקה של שמע ישראל, השם אלוקינו, השם אחד, ופשוט כל הכדורים עפו מעל הראש.
There's bullets flying through. He's ducked on his head. His foot is on the gas. He doesn't even know where he's driving anymore. But he realizes that if he puts his head up, he might not survive. And he starts to scream, Shema Israel.
וכשחלפתי אותם, הם נעמדו על הכביש.
He passed them on the road.
והם פנו שמאלה לכיוון המסיבה.
They make a left to go back to the party because they realize that most of the people are in the party area, not where he's in his direction.
ומיד, הדבר הראשון שעלה לי זה להתקשר לאח שלי עידן.
And right away he realized I have to call my brother, Idan, which was back, he's back at the party still. He didn't leave with them. He only left with his two friends and his wife.
אמרתי לו, עידן, מחבלים עכשיו ריססו אותנו, תברח משם, תלך תגיד לכולם לברוח, למשטרה. הוא אומר לי, רועי, אני לא יכול לצאת מפה, איבדתי את המפתחות של האוטו.
So right away he calls his brother, tells his brother, you gotta leave. There's terrorists coming in, they have weapons, and his brother's like, I'm trying to look for my car, but I got the car, I don't have the keys. I can't find my keys, and I gotta get out of here.
ברוך השם, זה היה השגחה פרטית לעידן, כי אם הוא לא היה מאבד את המפתחות, הוא היה נתקע בפקק שבעצם ריססו את כולם שם.
And it was actually a miracle that he didn't find his keys, because had he found the keys, those that left with that caravan going out actually got all shot and killed. So anyone who went on that road out where Hamas was coming in, they're not around anymore. And his brother, because he lost the key, ended up surviving.
עידן נשאר שם בטבח הנוראי 6.5 שעות, קרוב ל7 שעות.
7 hours, he's stuck at the party, not able to leave.
לאחר 7 שעות הוא ניצל.
7 hours
ברוך
later,
השם.
they save him.
וכשאני המשכתי בנסיעה, היה בסיס אורים של צה"ל. ונתנאל אומר לי, רועי, כנס לבסיס, מה יותר בטוח מצה"ל?
So right away they're leaving and they see an IDF base. And so right away he says, let's get into the base. I'm sure if there's military personnel there, they'll at least protect us.
ובאותו שנייה שהוא אמר לי, הרגל שלי פשוט התפרקסה על הגז מהסטרס שהיה מהיריות.
He was so nervous, his foot is stuck on the pedal and it's shaking, he can't even control it.
ואני מסתכל על אשתי ואני אומר לה, אני לא עוצר. אני שומע בראש קולות שאומרים לי פשוט, רועי, תמשיך בנסיעה. שם בעצם חיכו בשער של הבסיס מחבלים מחופשים לחיילים שלנו. ופשוט שעברתי עם האוטו, אני רואה אותם עומדים בשער. וגם פה עברתי אותם.
So right away he notices his wife is telling him, let's go into the base. And he tells his wife, I'm not going in there. My voice is telling me, I have an intuition that I have to keep going straight. He keeps going straight and he notices in the side of his eye that there are a bunch of Hamas terrorists waiting at the gate for any of the soldiers coming back to return so that they could shoot them upon their return to the base. So he keeps driving straight, he ignores his wife, and he survives that.
והיינו צריכים להגיע לירושלים.
We had to get to Jerusalem.
ומרוב הלחיצות על הדלק, נגמר לי הדלק, הייתי צריך למלא דלק.
His foot was the pedal to the metal. By the time they went out, their gas already had gone down and they're almost out.
המקום שהיה הכי קרוב זה היה באר שבע.
The closest town was Be'er Sheva.
וכשיצאנו למלא דלק, אז היה פשוט פיצוץ ירות של טיל שנפל בבית סמוך לידינו, והיה ממש פיצוץ גדול. ואחרי שעה של נסיעה מאוד מאוד קשה, הגענו לבית בשעה 11 בבוקר.
He stops at this gas station and while he's filling up gas, a missile falls like literally from a house nearby him. But they have to fill up, they get in the car, and an hour later he makes it back to Jerusalem. He's in Yerushalayim back home.
בשעה 11:30 נכנסתי לטלגרם של החמאס, ראיתי שם סרטון שאליה ואלקנה חטופים בעזה.
At 11:30, he goes on Telegram and he starts to look at the Hamas channels and he notices that two of his friends have been kidnapped into Gaza.
ביום ראשון,
The first day,
הימים הראשונים, השבועות הראשונים היו קשים.
it was very difficult, the first few weeks after this event.
נרצחו לנו 13 חברים משותפים.
13 very close friends of mine were murdered that day.
הייתי ב6 לוויות.
I was in 6 funerals.
אבל הנפש לא יכלה להמשיך ללכת. החודש הראשון היה בלי שינה, בלי אוכל.
The first month I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. You can imagine the trauma.
ביום ראשון כבר קיבלנו, אחרי שאני ואשתי רשמנו את כל הנס שקרה לנו, וראינו מה עברנו, מיד קיבלנו על עצמנו שמירת שבת וציצית, ברוך השם, כבר 3.5 חודשים אנחנו שומרים שבת.
So about like a month out, they realized that, you know, this was a miraculous event. And him and his wife decide that they're going to take upon themselves, he's going to start to wear tzitzit, they're going to start to keep Shabbat, and they're going to start to get closer to the Borei Olam from this event.
אני כל החיים שלי בעצם, הייתי חילוני.
My entire life I was not religious, I was a chiloni.
כל החיים, אני אסכם את זה, זה היה לי מסיבה אחת גדולה. תמיד הייתי הולך למסיבות, לפסטיבלים.
My entire life was just parties as a chiloni. I just go from one party, one mushroom thing, one EDM party to another.
נורא אוהב אמנות, והגוף שלי מקועקע, כל הגוף שלי. וכשהתחלנו את השמירת שבת,
When I first started keeping Shabbat,
בשבת החמישית,
the 5th week of keeping Shabbat,
אמרתי לאשתי שאני רוצה פעם ראשונה ללכת לבית הכנסת.
he said, I want to go for my first time, פעם ראשונה בחיים שלך?
רק בכיפור הייתי הולך פעם בשנה.
So this was the first time in his life that he officially goes on Shabbat to shul, the 5th week of keeping Shabbat.
וככה התלבשתי יפה לכבוד שבת.
He dresses up nicely.
אמרתי לה שבת שלום, נתתי נשיקה לילדות, פתחתי את הדלת וירדתי לכיוון בית הכנסת. ראיתי את כל האנשים פשוט הולכים לבית הכנסת.
He gets ready, he says goodbye to his wife, he kisses his 2 daughters and he gets on his way, goes to shul, and he sees all the people now in shul.
ונעצרתי, חזרתי חזרה לבית.
He said I couldn't do it, he returns back home.
היא אומרת לי, מה קרה?
He asked, what happened?
אמרתי לה, אני מרגיש שאני עדיין לא מסוגל, אבל בשבילי היה לפתוח את הדלת, זה כבר היה צעד ראשון.
He said he couldn't do it. He wasn't able to go to shul. He still wasn't, the trauma, the whole thing, even though he wanted to take that big step, he opened the door, but he actually didn't go to shul that week.
ומשבוע אחרי,
The next week.
אני כל שישי בבית הכנסת, ברוך השם.
Every single Shabbat now, Leil Shabbat, he's in shul.
יונה אשתי קיבלה על עצמה כיסוי ראש בשישי שבת.
Now his wife took upon herself to cover her hair with the kisui rosh.
ובעצם כל החיים שלי אמרתי, תמיד היה לי בעיות בחיים.
Throughout my whole life, there were different problems.
אף פעם לא הייתי מסופק משום דבר. תמיד הייתי הולך לעוד מסיבה, עושה עוד קעקוע.
I was never doubtful. Anytime I wanted something, I did it. I wanted one tattoo, I got it. I wanted another one, I did it. I want one party, I did it. I wanted to go another, I didn't stop.
וכשהלכתי עשיתי התבודדות עם הקדוש ברוך הוא.
When I did that alone time with God, where I was able to look at my life and evaluate myself.
הבטחתי לו שאני הולך פעם אחרונה לעשות קעקוע. זה היה שבועיים אחרי הנובה. והקעקוע הזה בעצם, תמיד כשהייתי הולך למסיבות, אז לא היה איפה לשים לי חותמת, כי הכל קעקועים. והיה לי מקום אחד ריק ביד, שבעצם עשיתי את הקעקוע של הנובה, עם 7/10, את החותמת, כי ביום הזה קיבלנו את החיים במתנה, וכנראה שזה זיכרון שישאר אצלי לכל החיים, גם אם לא על הגוף, בטוח שזה יהיה בראש.
And so he's gotten a lot of tattoos, and 2 weeks after he was still in his zone of the party, and he goes out to, he gets a tattoo on his arm. He has so many tattoos. When he would go to the parties, they couldn't actually stamp him his admittance So what he did is he actually found one spot on his arm, on his left arm, and he made the ticket stamp that says Nova to remember the event on October 7th. And he says, even if it's not going to stay on my arm, it'll always stay in my mind.
ואז אמרתי לה, מה אנחנו בעצם עושים עם כל החברים שניצלו? יש המון חברים שניצלו, אבל הם לא מספרים את הנס שלהם.
So there was a lot of people that survived, and a bunch of people, but they kept very silent. A lot of people didn't talk about what they're doing. You know, this is a little addition. You know, Roy coming out here. I don't know if you guys don't notice, but he's shaking. I'm sitting right next to him. You know, he's going back to a trauma that was very recent, and I see it. He's cold, he's shivering, and you know, it's not easy. And a lot of people that had this story are not able and are not going out there and telling the story.
ואמרתי לה, את הנס שלנו,
Our miracle.
אמרתי לה, אני לא רוצה שהוא יתפרסם בארץ.
I don't want it to just be in
אני רוצה שהוא
Israel.
יתפרסם בכל העולם.
I want this story of God saving my life to not just be something that stays in Israel. I want this to carry itself all over the world.
והקדוש ברוך הוא שמע אותי.
God heard me.
אני כבר חודשיים וחצי נמצא בארצות הברית.
2.5 months now I'm here in the United States.
בהמון מקומות, בלוס אנג'לס, בקנדה, במקסיקו, במיימי, ואני כל החיים בעצם החצנתי את עצמי, את המסיבות שהייתי עושה, את הקעקועים, את המספרה שלי, והיום אני 3.5 חודשים מיחצן את הקדוש ברוך הוא, ועובד את השם, ובאמת האמונה שלי כל כך התחזקה בתקופה הזאת, ששאלתי אותו, למה תמיד היה לי בעיות בחיים? למה אף פעם לא הייתי מסופק משום דבר? והבנתי.
So what he's saying is throughout his life he was always doubtful. He was always misupak. He wasn't always sure about things. And even with all the tattoos that he did and his own business as a hairstylist and all the parties, he never felt the satisfaction in his life in anything that he was doing.
וכשדיברתי עם הקדוש ברוך הוא,
And when I spoke to God,
ושאלתי אותו,
and I asked him,
אז בעצם הבנתי
I understood
שאת כל החיים שבניתי לעצמי, הדמות שבניתי לעצמי,
that image, my life before,
זה בשביל להגיע לרגע הזה.
it was to get to this point of where I am right now.
כשקיבלתי את החיים במתנה,
When I got my life back as a gift from God,
הבנתי את הראשי תיבות של בעיה.
I understood what the word Be'aya in Hebrew spelled Bet, Ayin, Yud, Hey. He said, now I understand what that word Be'aya, problem, means.
זה בורא עולם, יפתור הכל.
It stands for Borei Olam Yiftor Hakol, the creator of the world who will solve all the problems.
והאמונה שלי עוד יותר התחזקה כשהבנתי את זה. ופשוט אני בתהליך שאני רואה את הדברים לא כמו שהם היו לי לפני.
So his entire life changed, and now when he looks at every situation, things that are in his life, his personal life, it's a new light. He's reliving again his entire existence.
ואותו בחור, אני אחזור אחורה קצת, שהערתי במסיבה.
And that guy, I remember him from the party that I woke him up in the car and I told him to get up, and my wife went to get him. Yeah, we didn't forget about him.
הסרטון שעשיתי לי ולאשתי, שאמרתי, אולי זה הסרטון האחרון שלנו.
And that video that I said this might be our last video together that he took with his wife.
הסרטון הזה הוא היה נורא פופולרי, הוא הגיע ל1.5 צפיות בפייסבוק, ואותו בחור הגיע אליי דרך הסרטון הזה.
And so this video was uploaded to Facebook. It got over 1.5 million views, and the guy that he saved reached out to him and said, "You were the guy who woke me up. That saved me."
והוא אומר לי,
And he tells me,
הוא שולח לי הודעה, תודה על זה שהצלת אותי,
sends him a message, thank you for
החזרת אותי לשלושת הבנות שלי,
and you saved my 3 daughters, you saved them too.
כל כך שמחתי שהוא ניצל, והוא שלח לי בהודעה קולית שאחריו הוא הציל עוד 20 אנשים.
Wow, so after he got woke up by Roy, this guy went back as a hero, and he saved 20 people himself to get out of the party, and he kept on thinking about his 3 daughters.
אבל אמרתי לו, אני לא הצלתי אותך.
It wasn't me who saved you.
אני סך הכל הייתי שליח של הקדוש ברוך הוא.
I was only a shaliach that God put it in my mind that when I saw the opportunity to wake you up and save your life, God gave me that thought.
ופה בעצם הבנתי שהקדוש ברוך הוא, אם שמתי שעון מעורר ל2 בבוקר והוא לא צלצל, והגעתי ב-6 בבוקר, ל-28 דקות בדיוק, אז אני בטוח שהייתי שליח של הקדוש ברוך הוא, וככל שהזמן עובר אני מבין את זה עוד יותר.
He sees that a lot of times the inconveniences of how he got to this party, where he parked, how every single effect was like a domino to save his life. This doesn't happen to everybody. There was close to 1,300 people that died, that they don't have this story.
והחלטנו שאנחנו מוציאים ספר.
We decided we're going to write a book about this.
שהשם שלו יהיה 7 באוקטובר, הנס הפרטי שלי, לזיכוי וחיזוק הרבים.
It'll be called the October 7th, my personal miracle.
ושם בעצם אספנו, אני ואשתי, 80 סיפורים שלא סופרו, שפשוט רשמו לי את הכל בהודעת טקסט, כל אחד ואחד, והספר יהיה גם באנגלית וגם בעברית בעזרת השם.
So he wants to put together a book, and his wife put together 80 people that survived from people they knew at that party, and they're going to end up writing in Hebrew and translating this book into English.
וכל היום שואלים אותי ושולחים לי הודעות, מתי הספר יצא?
Everyone sends them messages, when is this book going to come out already?
ואני תמיד אומר, גם כשאני מדבר, אני מחכה לאלקנה ואליה, החברים שלי, שבעזרת השם יחזרו, וכל החטופים בעזרת השם שיחזרו.
אמן.
נרשום שם את הנס שלהם גם.
And so he has 2 friends that are still hostages in Gaza, and he said, I don't want to write and finish this book until I can add their story, that they were also part of this miracle of surviving this October 7th event.
ואז אני אוציא את הספר בעזרת השם.
And then I'm going to let it out, B'ezrat Hashem, open the sefer.
וזה, this is my story, ובעזרת השם,
This is my story.
אני, תוך הזמן הזה שעובר, יצאתי למסע בחיים, שהרב גבירץ מניו ג'רזי הזמין אותי לספר את הסיפור, והייתי צריך לבוא רק לשבועיים.
So he was only intending to come for 2 weeks, and it was Rav Gurvitz.
כן.
He from New Jersey, you invited him.
פרנזטר תורה.
And he started to just go out, tell his story, and this 2 weeks has been now almost 3 months, and now he's down here in Miami.
כן, זה נמשך
And it's probably going to be extended, I think, to Las Vegas next. That we're
כן,
getting
לוס אנג'לס. והגעגועים שהיה לי לילדות, כי אני אף פעם לא עזבתי אותם בתקופה כזאת.
I never left my daughters this long.
ופשוט אמרתי לאשתי שתעלק שתי הילדות לטיסה, והם הגיעו לפני 1.5 שבועות.
And so he flew them in from Israel. He was here alone, so he told his wife, look, I haven't been away from the family this long, and I'm sure this trauma has an effect on it. So he said, come with the whole family to New Jersey, and I'm going to continue speaking and inspiring people.
ואני כל היום פשוט טס בין מקומות למקומות, 2-3 הרצאות, ושואלים אותי כל הזמן מאיפה הכוחות. אז אני גם לא יודע מאיפה הכוחות, אבל אני יודע שזה הקדוש ברוך הוא מביא לי את הכוחות.
And he's going from place to place to speak, and a lot of people are asking him, what's giving you the strength to talk about this? You know, it might seem so easy on the other side here of the cameras and of the mic, but this is a hard story to tell over. He watched people get murdered in front of him, and his life went by, and they asked him, where do you get this energy from?
ואני מרגיש כל יום שאני קם מחדש, הקדוש ברוך הוא נותן לי כוחות נורא חזקים. כי כשאני בעצם כל החיים הייתי חילוני, ואני כל יום מדבר בפני קהל קדוש שהוא דתי, ואני רואה שהוא מתחזק מזה, אז זה מחזק גם אותי עוד יותר.
So he says, I was always irreligious. I was a chiloni. And, you know, now today, I went from the extreme of being a chiloni to now going to the Kahal Kadosh, to the holy congregation, and I'm now giving them emunah, and they're getting inspired. And every time I see more people, I get more inspired. I get more emunah watching this happen.
והבנתי שבן אדם, בעצם הנשמה של הבן אדם זקוקה לתורה, וזה כמו אוטו. האוטו ייסע פשוט ישר, ובסוף, אם לא נשים דלק, אז האוטו פשוט...
And so like the soul is that will only really survive in its full existence is through the learning of the Torah and doing mitzvot. Just like a car. A car can't drive without gas. So what makes an individual think a soul can survive without that spirituality of the Torah?
אותו דבר הנשמה שלנו. אם אנחנו נלך ונשמע שיעורי תורה ונלמד, אותו דבר, הנשמה תתמלא כל הזמן. כל הזמן היא תתמלא והיא תהיה תמיד בפול, וזה מה שאנחנו צריכים, במיוחד בתקופה הזאת.
And you know, he's coming here, and you know, I think there's even a subtle message in this. You know, you have someone who a few months ago was doing all these things in the party, and was a Chiloni, and suddenly he's coming in front of us, and looking around the room, I could see a lot of people here are more religious and more observant, and this is an inspiration, and it strengthens him, and it helps him, and one thing that he's trying to the message to get to everyone is that you have to continue learning Torah, doing mitzvot. This is what is our survival today and here in America and also in Israel.
ועד היום בעצם לא פתחנו, אני ועידן, את המספרה שלנו בתל אביב. עד היום לא פתחנו אותה, היא סגורה.
So he shut down his entire business after this event. I'm sure for the few weeks it took time to catch up, and he's not opened up his business with his partner. And since then he's just been traveling to speak and inspire people. This has been his full-time job.
ובחודש וחצי הראשונים, כשהיינו בארץ, בשביל לקום על עצמנו וככה לצבור כוחות, לצאת קצת מההבל שהיינו בבית כל היום.
The first month and a half, he felt like he was mourning. He couldn't leave his house. He just didn't feel right, and so they finally decided to leave.
החלטנו פשוט לארגן שתי תיקים.
We put together 2 bags.
וכל יום שני היינו נוסעים לחיילים בעצם ומספרים אותם. וככה מנסים לתרום, למרות כל מה שעברנו, מנסים לתרום מעצמנו עוד. אז היה בסיס גבעתי בצאלים שהזמין אותי.
So he would go every Tuesday, Yom Sheni. Yom Sheni, every Tuesday he would go out to the IDF bases in order to strengthen them. Could you imagine a guy that just went through this after a few weeks is now going to strengthen the soldiers to give them CHIZUK? And he went to this base, the IDF base.
וכשהזמינו אותי לצאלים, צאלים זה סמוך לרעים, איפה שקרה כל
So the base was in the south of Israel next to Gaza.
אז לרגע חשבתי אם לחזור למקום שממנו בעצם ניצלתי.
He was wondering if he should go back to that spot where he was saved to kind of feel it and relive that.
ופשוט אמרתי לאשתי שאני רוצה לעשות את זה ולנסוע לשם.
He tells his wife, I want to go do it.
בשביל להתגבר על כל מה שהיה לי שם.
So he wanted to go back, and he says, I want to make sure that I'm strong enough and I've strengthened myself, that I can go back there and face the fear.
אז נסעתי לשם, ופשוט הנסיעה הייתה באותו כביש שבעצם ממנו ברחתי. זה היה נורא נורא קשה, אבל ברוך השם הקדוש ברוך הוא נתן לי כוחות להתגבר על זה.
He went back, he drives on that same road, God gives him the strength to continue.
עידן אחי לא הצליח לבוא איתי, כי הוא היה שם 7 שעות והוא עבר יותר מרות, הוא ראה יותר דברים קשים.
My brother Idan was there for about 7 hours more, so he actually saw more of the catastrophe of the dead bodies that were there, and that has had a different effect than what has happened to Roy.
ועם ההתחזקות במהלך 4 חודשים האלה כמעט כבר, אז אני ועידן החלטנו שאנחנו נסגור לתמיד את המספרה. החלטתי שאני יותר, לאחר 12 שנה, שאני עובד עם נשים, החלטתי שאני לא אעבוד יותר עם נשים, רק עם גברים.
וואו, חזק וברוך. That's great. So he decided that he's going to shut down his maspera, his hairstylist place that used to service women. He's a man. He's not supposed to be cutting women's hair. And he decided, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to stop this that I've been doing for 12 years, and now I'm going to focus just on the men, I guess, hairstyling.
וכשהגעתי לניו ג'רזי,
I finally got back to Jersey.
אז הנכדה של הרב, היה לה מספרה קטנה בבית למטה.
So the granddaughter of the rabbi had a little basement hairstylist. I guess if you're from Lakewood and from New Jersey, you know that every basement is another business.
ואני הייתי עוסק עם פאות גם בארץ. אז היא נכנסה עם 2 פאות, ואמרתי לה, מה את הולכת לעשות? היא אמרה לי, אני צריכה לעשות highlight, אבל אני עוד לא יודעת.
So she comes home, the granddaughter of the rabbi, and she's walking in with 2 wigs, and he's like, what are you going to do with those wigs? And she's like, I'm putting highlights, but I'm not really sure how to do it.
אז אמרתי לה, אני אעשה את זה.
I said, I'll do it, don't worry, I'm pretty good at this.
ואחרי זה עוד המון נשים רצו שאני אעשה להם, אבל...
So he gave me a wig stylist. It's a good business.
כן.
Excellent.
אבל כן, זה המצב היום.
And so Baruch Hashem, now he's doing wigs. He's not doing the ladies here, but he got to the wigs. Baruch Hashem.
והנובה בעצם, שקרתה ברעים, אני כשחשבתי על מה שקרה שם, היה לי הרבה זמן לחשוב, הבנתי שהנובה היא איפשהו הצילה את מדינת ישראל קצת.
And he says something very interesting. He says, after looking at this whole situation that was in this Nova festival, he goes, this really saved the entire nation of Am Yisrael.
כי כן נכנסו למדינת ישראל 3,000 מחבלים.
That even though 3,000 Hamas terrorists came into the country,
שרצחו וביזזו
they killed, they desecrated.
אבל אם אנחנו נחשוב קצת יותר לעומק,
If we think a little bit deeper on this,
שאם מחבל היה רוצח 10 אנשים, היינו מגיעים ל30,000 נרצחים. אז הקדוש ברוך הוא גזר עלינו פה גזירה שסך הכל נתעורר ונפקח את העיניים.
He says that you don't realize that if these 3,000 that came in killed 10 each, that would have been 30,000 Jews killed that day. It was about 1,300. Baruch Hashem, they didn't get they were stopped, but just 10. And by the way, they came in.
והיה להם את כל הזמן שבעולם.
They had all the time. There was I think 6 hours or 6 or 7 hours.
6-7 שעות הם היו שם.
Before any type of law enforcement or military came to anyone's help, it was 6 or 7 hours. So they had the opportunity, they had the weapons to kill 10 a person. But Baruch Hashem, they were unsuccessful.
ואני חושב שהקדוש ברוך הוא באמת רצה שנתעורר, כי מה שהיה בארץ בשנתיים האחרונות, ב3 שנים האחרונות אפילו, ללא ממשלה, הפגנות, יהודים רבים ביניהם, בכיפור, בתל אביב, באמצע התפילה שהפריעו להם, הקדוש ברוך הוא כבר די, אמר, כמה אפשר?
So in Israel, if anyone is aware from any of the politics, the last few years has been very polarized. There's been a lot of the right and the left wing, to the extent that he's saying, leave aside the protest, the hafganot, and all the other things they were doing. They were even on Yom Kippur, when there was a separation between the males and the females, they were trying to remove that barrier so that they don't have that mechitza.
ואני כל החיים תמיד פחדתי מהדת.
He says, as a Chiloni, as a irreligious, I was almost fearful of religious people and of the religion itself.
פחדתי לעזוב את המסיבות, את המספרה, את הקעקועים.
He was afraid to leave that life, being a hairstylist, probably a very successful one too, in Tel Aviv, along with the tattoos. It's a whole life. It's a different realm.
אבל כשהבנתי באמת מה זה החיים עכשיו האמיתיים, כשראיתי את המוות בעיניים, וכל כך זעקתי על הקדוש ברוך הוא, שייתן לי לראות את הילדות עוד הפעם ולהגיע לבית, וקיבלנו על עצמנו את השבת, שבשבת זה גם מורכב משמירה, ברית ותפילה, וברגע שנשמור את כל זה, השבת תשמור עלינו. ורק אז הבנתי באמת שעד עכשיו החיים שהיו לי, הם היו כביכול המסיבה. אבל היום, אחרי כל מה שעברתי, הבנתי מה הקדוש ברוך הוא רצה ממני 30 שנה, וכמה הנשמה שלי זעקה, לא הייתי מסופק משום דבר בחיים. ואחרי שראינו, אני ואשתי, את המוות, וגם אח שלי, והוא שמר על שלושתנו, אין יותר מדי מה לעשות, ולא לתת לו את מה שהוא רוצה באמת.
You know, to see when he sees his life and death flash right in front of him, and he makes a prayer that he just wants to get home to see his 2 daughters, and he finally survives, he feels like he owes God something. He feels that not everyone that made that prayer got that, and he feels so endowed to the Borei Olam that he feels like I owe him something. He goes, keeping the Shabbat, the Milah, Tefillah, these are all things that he feels that I owe God back my life. He just gave me back everything.
ואני רוצה לאחל באמת לכולנו שהאמונה שלנו באמת תתחזק כמה שיותר, ושנדע להיות מאוחדים גם אחרי שזה ייגמר בעזרת השם, שהאחדות של עם ישראל באמת יישאר ככה, כי זה מה שהקדוש ברוך הוא רוצה מאיתנו, שנהיה פשוט אנשים טובים, ושנאהב אחד את השני, ושבעזרת השם כולנו נעשה תשובה שלמה בעזרת השם, ושנבדיל תמיד בין טוב לרע, ושהקדוש ברוך הוא תמיד יהיה איתנו, ושבעזרת השם בעת המשיח תגיע והמשיח יבוא ויגאל אותנו בעזרת השם. ואני רוצה להגיד לכם וליונתן תודה רבה על זה שהגעתי לפה והקשבתם לי, וזה חיזק אותי עוד יותר. ואני מברך אתכם בכל הברכות שאפשר, ותודה רבה רבה לכם. תודה.
Thank you so much, everybody. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone have a question they want to ask him? Yeah, right here. Come, give him the mic. Okay, so we'll just repeat the question so everyone can hear. He asks, was there at the party a Buddha, you said? Was there a statue? Was there a statue there?
עברתי כבר קרוב ל-40 הרצאות, ושאלו אותי כמה פעמים את השאלה הזאת.
He goes, I went to 40 places and they asked me that same question.
התפאורה, היה שם בודה.
It was there.
היה בודה, וזה היה תפאורה של המסיבה.
That was the logo, I guess, of the party.
לא לוגו, אבל זה היה תפאורה.
A decoration?
כן,
a decoration.
בדיוק, כן.
Decoration.
וזה, אני לא מצליח לפעמים להבין את השאלה הזאת, ששואלים אותי אם היה שם בודה. כן, היה שם בודה, אבל אני תמיד אומר, אם היה שם כוכב, או אם היה שם צורה של משהו אחר, למה תמיד שואלים את השאלה אם היה שם בודה? מה זה בעצם? נכון, אני מסכים, נכון. נכון, וזה...
So, Roy asked the question, he goes, why they keep asking? What would have made a difference if it
זו
was a
שאלה שאני
Buddha?
תמיד מנסה לתת לעצמי תשובה על זה, אבל אני לא מצליח להבין מה באמת היא עשתה ומה, איך זה קרה, מה...
He asks, what's the difference between them?
יפה, זה מה שאמרו גם, נכון, אתה צודק, נכון. כשאני נכנסתי וראיתי את הבודה, אני גם לא הבנתי לרגע מה אני רואה, כי זה פעם ראשונה באמת, אני כבר 10 שנים יוצא למסיבות, וזה באמת פעם ראשונה שהיה פסל כזה גדול.
Yeah, so he says something interesting about the Buddha, that he goes to a lot of these parties and they never have them in Israel. This was like the first time in 10 years he's ever even seen that. It was a little awkward. It was like, he says it was part of like a decoration. It wasn't...
אני נבלתי מזה קצת.
He was a little bit worried looking at that Buddha. That wasn't a normal thing that happens, I guess, at these misibot. Anyone else have any questions? All right, so I'd like to ask Roy to give us all the beracha, that he's had new life, and with that, Bezat Hashem, Roy, maybe give us all the beracha that we should be matzliach, and we should excel and grow in the Torah, mitzvot, and all of our endeavors, Bezat Hashem. V'chini yatzon v'nomar, amen.
Amen, amen, amen. תודה רבה, thank you so much.
It's great.